Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for the question. Honourable Speaker, sir, the trade is actually integral to growth and economic development. And this applies to every single country. However, Honourable Speaker, as we all know, it has been under some tremendous pressure as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, as economies worldwide are actually suffering from the resulting drop in production and also in consumption. Now, we've had pictures of empty supermarket shelves and panic buying, some panic buying created by false rumors. It's been common in the first few weeks of the COVID-19 pandemic. The shutting down of borders and the decreasing trade have affected many countries, especially those that are heavily reliant on imports and exports. Mr. Speaker, sir, the actual restoration of cross-border trade is undoubtedly vital in driving a global economic recovery in the wake of the pandemic, and a return to trade-led growth will hinge on creating some enabling conditions for businesses to actually trade. So one of the most effective means of addressing this is actually by creating new market opportunities, and there are various ways to accomplish this, and which the Ministry of Commerce, Trade, Tourism has been actively involved in. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Pacific region alone has a combined population of about 10 million people, now excluding Australia and New Zealand, of course. And not only are they collectively Fiji's largest trading partners, they're actually seen as a region that will continue as an important trading bloc, especially for Fiji. So therefore, the modernization of existing trade agreements, and I think this will happen across the world with many trade agreements. The modernization of these trade agreements, such as the Pacific Island Countries Trade Agreement, commonly known as PICTA, are actually important. This particular agreement establishes a free trade area amongst the Pacific Island countries and is a stepping stone, Honourable Speaker, sir, towards a wider trade integration of its members on both a regional and a multilateral scale. However, one of the challenges that we have actually faced is with respect to the rules of origin, and that basically means that under which goods can enter respective markets duty-free. So Fiji is part of that committee that is reviewing the rules to enable more Fijian-made products to be traded with Pacific Island countries. And Mr. Speaker, sir, another critical agreement that Fiji is advocating is the Melanesian Free Trade Agreement. And this agreement will take the Melanesian trade and economic integration to the next level, as it includes trade in services and investments. However, sir, this agreement, excuse me, this agreement needs to be signed by Papua New Guinea and Vanuatu in order to be effective. Otherwise, the old agreement will still apply. And with regards to Australia and New Zealand, the Spartaca 1 and the Australian system of tariff preferences are the best two tiers going as far as our trade with Australia and New Zealand is concerned. But that's not to say that our discussions on PESA Plus have come to a dead stop. And apart from, we have our issues with that, which we have raised, and apart from our strategy to consolidate trade with the Pacific region, we're actually also pursuing markets in the ASEAN region. We are in discussions with a number of Asian countries on a bilateral future trading arrangements, and everyone will appreciate that these actual discussions need careful consideration, because apart from offering the biggest opportunities, so these countries are also our most fierce competitors. And in this regard, Fiji is actually exploring obtaining observer status in the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, commonly known as RCEP, which consists of all the major economies of Asia, but includes Australia and New Zealand. As part of our multilateral strategy, Honourable Speaker, sir, in August last year, Fiji, I'm very proud to say this, Fiji became the first Pacific Island country to sign a trade and investment framework agreement with the United States. And this provides Fiji a platform for increased dialogue with the US on trade matters. And in addition, we are negotiating a historic agreement with New Zealand, Iceland, Norway, Switzerland, and Costa Rica on climate change, sir. with climate change, trade and sustainability. This agreement, Honourable Speaker, sir, is the first of its kind that has trade and climate change goals and sustainability at its core. It will enable freer trade in environmental goods and services, thereby environmental and trade objectives concurrently, accelerating access and uptake of environmental goods, services and technology. Mr. Speaker, sir, in response to the current COVID-19 situation, the role of the trade commissions, our trade commissions, have also become more important than ever, and whether through the ongoing delivery of consular services on which many overseas Fijians actually rely on, or through continued trade and investment facilitation to contribute to Fiji's economic recovery. Fiji's trade commissions in Australia, in New Zealand, in China and North America are actually playing a key role in promoting Fiji as a trade and investment hub of the Pacific. Our commissions continue to help improve market access for Fijian products and services in the respective countries through market research and conducting some targeted media campaigns and proactively assisting Fijian exporters to tap into the new market. During the pandemic, sir, the trade commissions re-looked also at their strategies, and they have found innovative ways of delivering their services and liaising with important stakeholders. Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the most important things also is whilst we're actually creating new market opportunities, we are also working in terms of reforms on the area of doing business with respect to make investment in both domestic and foreign, and it's easier to be realized. Over the past few years, we've actually implemented a number of reforms in starting a business, and such as online registration of company business name, online tax registration, removal of business licenses, launch of doing business platform BizFiji, the repeal of Stamp Duties Act, and establishing of the Building Permits Evaluation Committee, which I spoke about yesterday, sir, to name a few. These reforms, Honourable Speaker, sir, we will continue and will incorporate technology also to facilitate these processes. Mr. Speaker, sir, despite the bleak outlook of global trade, we continue to focus on strengthening the critical sectors like agriculture. And this is, I mentioned this about the collaboration that actually exists between the ministries, and agriculture, food processing, and that continue to grow despite global value chain breakdowns. And also the support that we provide to micro, small and medium enterprises to strengthen their business resilience is also an important part of our strategy to sustain and increase our market presence. Honourable Speaker, sir, these are just some of the strategies of the Ministry to ensure that opportunities are created for Fijian businesses to induce economic recovery. So I hope that answers suffices.
I thank the Honourable Minister.